Hi everybody, my name is Rob from robnonphotos.com, and today we're going to be doing a quick review of the Pentax K1000, or as you might find, the Asahi Pentax K1000 35mm Film SLR. Now, it's a bit of a legend, the K1000. It's a fantastic camera. Let's get that out of the way straight away. This particular model I've got here is the original, I guess it's the original run. I don't know that much about the history of the manufacture of them, but it's got the Asahi bit on top above Pentax. It's got, not that it makes any better than any others, and this one's also got the Pentax 50mm f1.7 prime lens on it, so it's a nice all-rounder. So what makes this camera so intriguing, but also probably so enjoyable to take photographs with? I would say after shooting with this for a few weeks, I would put it up there with a similar sort of experience to like my Minolta SRT 101, in the fact that it's a nice heavy traditional fully manual clockwork SLR. Okay, so the only electronics in this are for the light meter. Everything else doesn't need a battery to run, and I absolutely love that. You know, if you've watched my videos, you know I rave on about the Olympus Trip 35 because it doesn't need a battery. You can just pick it up and go out and shoot. Okay, so it does have a battery for the light meter, but that battery's going to last an awful long time. And even if the battery does go flat in the light meter, or you have a model where the light meter doesn't work, if you're shooting outside, it's very easy just to go out and use the Sunny 16 rule, you know. So with the Sunny 16 rule, what you do is, if you're shooting 400 speed film, for example, and it's a sunny day, you should set your shutter speed near to, near to 1/400, so 1/500, and you set your aperture to f16. If it goes a little bit cloudy, set your aperture to f8. A little bit darker, go down to 5.6, that sort of thing. So it's really simple to shoot manually. Manual focus. Now, because there's so little to go wrong with these cameras as well, they last an awful long time as long as they're looked after. In fact, probably the only things you've really got to watch out for, and this is common across whenever you're picking up a second-hand camera, is just to make sure it winds on nice and well, make sure the shutter fires, change the shutter speed from, like, you have a go at like 1,000th of a second, and then go down to 1/125th, and then go down to like half a second, and you want to hear that difference in sound. The other common thing that happens with lots of cameras actually is that the aperture blades lock, just where the the lubricants inside have gone off over time, and so the quick test that you can do for that, probably the easiest way to do it, is just to take the lens off. I don't know whether you can probably see that, and then if you roll the aperture, you see it opening and closing, which is what we want. Sometimes they'll just get stuck and they won't move. And obviously look through the lens, make sure there's no obvious signs of fungus and scratches. But in an old camera, a little bit of fungus, does it really matter? A little bit of scratching, it's probably going to have it. Does it really matter? Of course it doesn't. If anything, it's going to add character to your photographs. So as I say, the K1000 produced through the 1970s and into the early 80s, fully manual camera. It just has a little electronic viewfinder, and built like a tank. Very popular among students because it's a great camera to learn on, yeah, it just feels right at hand. It's got that nice weight, and obviously it takes beautiful 35mm black and white film. So let's have a quick look at it then. So if we look at the shutter speeds, then we go from 1 second right round to 1,000th of a second. It has its flash sync speed at 60th of a second, so it's got hot shoe, so put your flash on the top, set it at 60th of a second. and then you look at the back of the flash and it'll tell you what aperture to use depending on the distance of the subject. Nice single throw winder, lovely jubbly, we like that. We can choose our aperture obviously on our lens, and we've got our focusing, and then basically what we've got there is we've got a little sync port for X-Sync for flashes again, and then we've got a shutter release, and that's it on the outside of the camera. Now when you actually take the lens cap off, this is the thing that activates the light meter. So if you haven't got a lens cap for the model you've got, make sure you get one, otherwise you'll flatten the light meter battery. And the light meter batteries just go in there, commonly available batteries, so that's nice and easy. And what you do is you look through the viewfinder, and on the right hand side there's one of those little needles that goes up and down, and so all you then do is you can adjust your aperture, and you can adjust your shutter speed to get to a point where the needle goes into the middle, and then you know you're going to get an acceptable exposure. Personally speaking, what I tend to do if I'm shooting outside, I tend to in this particular case I was shooting with 400 speed film, so I tend to set it to 500th of a second, set it to normally f8, because here in the UK it tends to be a little bit cloudy most of the time. And that gives you a good starting point, so that when you go up, you know, the needle will be fairly close, and then you can adjust your aperture up or down to hit that nice exposure. And that's it. There isn't really anything else. There's no depth of field preview. I don't think there's any way of taking double exposures. So you might think, well, isn't that a little bit limiting? But funnily enough, it isn't. It's freeing. And also, one of the things I noticed actually when I went back to shooting with the SRT 101 after not using it for a while, things like the mirror lockup button and the depth of field button, your fingers would sometimes brush against them, especially the mirror lockup button, and it would pop the mirror up, and then the camera wouldn't work. Where with this, there's none of those distractions. You just take out and you shoot. I got this particularly clean example from the car boot sale near Titchfield. I think it cost me the grand total of £10, and very pleased with it. Really nice. I mean, I'd heard about the K1000 on podcasts and shows like the Film Photography Project. Hadn't really thought much about it, to be honest. Hadn't really thought about Pentax at all, because I don't think I've got any other Pentax cameras. I was really like Minoltas, Canons, Olympuses, that sort of thing. But this, very, very pleased with it, indeed. Nice, simple, solid 35mm SLR camera that will probably go on shooting for years and years, as long as I look after it and don't drop it. You can get them on eBay reasonably cheap. Again, lots of film cameras are going up in price now because lots of people are getting back into film. Very simple to use, fully automatic. If you've got a digital SR or a digital camera at the moment and want to experiment with an aspect of photography that will challenge you and I would say will make you a better photographer, because shooting with film slows you down, makes you concentrate on your composition a lot more, because you've got to pay for each frame, so you tend to line things up a lot better. You don't spray and pray. You know, you couldn't really go wrong with the K1000. Maybe pick one up second hand. Ask your relatives, ask your friends. Has anybody got a dad or an uncle or a granddad who's got some old film cameras? Chances are they might have one of these tucked away in their closet. So there we go. The Asahi Pentax K1000, or simply known as the Pentax K1000 35mm Film SLR. Really nice bit of kit, highly recommended, and I'm really chuffed I've got one. My name's Rob from robnunphoto.com. Thanks for watching.